Formwork in concrete construction is used as a mold for structure in which fresh concrete is poured only to harden subsequently. Types of concrete formwork construction depends on formwork material and type of a structural element. Formworks can also be named based on the type of a structural member of construction, such as slab formwork for use in slabs, obviously, beam formwork, column formwork for use in beams and columns respectively, etc., etc. So in this video we're going to talk about the types of formwork for concrete construction and its properties. Greetings to all the builders out there. My name is Jesus Arroyo and this is Planos Constructivos. If you're new to this channel, this is a channel dedicated to talk about construction, architecture, and everything related to it. So in this theme, we're going to talk about construction and formwork that takes time and involves expenditure up to 20 to 25% of the cost of this structure or even more. Design of these temporary structures are made to economic expenditure, and the operation of removing a formwork is known as stripping. The stripped formwork can be reused. Reusable forms are known as panel forms and non-usable are called stationary forms. So timber is the most common material used for formwork. The disadvantage with timber formwork is that it will wrap, swell, and shrink. Application of water impermeable cost to the surface of wood mitigates these defects. Especially in Mexico, what we use is burn oil from cars to pretty much cover it, and I know it's not very ecological, but that's what we do, and it's a easy way to give maintenance to the formwork. And a good formwork should satisfy the following requirement. It should be strong enough to withstand all types of depth and light loads. It should be rigidly constructed and efficiently propped and braced both horizontally and vertically so as to retain its shape. The joints in the formwork should be tight against leakage of cement and grout. But we pretty much can use, the cement bags. We pretty much soak them in water and put them on, the pretty small holes that we pretty much tend to think that water and leakage is gonna go through those holes. Also, construction and formwork should permit removal of various spots in the side sequences without damages to the concrete. The material of formwork should be cheap, easily available, and should be suitable for reuse. Also, formwork should be set accurately to the desired line and levels should have plain surface. It should be as light as possible and the material of formwork should not warp or get distorted when exposed to the elements. It should rest on a firm base and bunch of things that you have to look before you use it. So when it comes to economy in formwork, the following points are to be kept view to the effect of the economy in the cost of formwork. The plan of the building should imply minimum number of variation in the size of rooms, floor areas, etc., and so to permit reuses of formworks repeatedly. If you have like a special form or shape that you have to use, well, pretty much we tend to look for the waste and do a new form. So the design should be perfect to use in a slender section only in most economical way, but changes may appear. So the minimum sewing and cutting of wooden pieces should be made to enable reuse of the material a number of times. The quantity of surface finishes depends on the quality of the formwork. Now, formwork can be made out of timber, plywood, steel, precast concrete, or fiberglass. Use it separately or in combination. Steel formworks are used in situations where large numbers of reuse of the same forms are necessary. For small works like timber, formwork proves useful, but when it comes to fiberglass made of precast concrete and aluminum are used in cast in situ construction such as slabs or members involving curved surfaces. Now, what types of formwork and shuttering for concrete construction are out there? For example, timber for formwork should be satisfy the following requirement. It should be well seasoned, light in weight, easily workable with nails and without splitting, free from loose nuts, and timber used for shuttering for exposed concrete work should have smooth and even surface and all the faces which come in contact with concrete. Also, you gotta watch out for the normal sizes of members for timber work, especially the thickness. No, you know, the sheetings, for example, for the sheeting for slabs, beam columns, and side and the beam bottoms should be about 25 millimeters to 40 millimeters thick. When it comes to joints and ledges, it's about 50 to 70 millimeters to 50 by 150 millimeters. And when it comes to posts, it's about 75 by 100 millimeters to 100 by 100 millimeters. Now, the resin bonded plywood sheets are attached to timber frames. That's another fine form of formwork, and plywood formwork, you know, as I said it before, is resin bonded plywood, and it makes panels of required sizes. You know, pretty much the standard size is 1.22 meters by 2.44 meters, which is about 4 by 8 feet in English sizes or imperial measurements. And the cost of plywood formwork compares favorably with that of timber shuttering, and it might even prove cheaper in certain cases in view of the following consideration. It is possible, for example, to have a smooth finish, in which case of the cost in surface finishing is there. By use of large size panels, it is possible to effect saving in the labor cost of fixing and dismantling. Now, the number of reuses are more as compared with timber shuttering. For estimation purposes, number of reuses can be taken as 25 to 20, from 20 to 25 actually, which in a timber regular formwork is about 10 times. Now, when it comes to steel formwork, this consists of panels fabricated out of thin steel plates, stiffened along the edges by small steel angles, which give it the rigidness that it needs. The panel units can be held together through the use of suitable clamps or bolts and nuts. The panels can be fabricated in a large number in any desired modular shape or size, and the steel forms are largely used in projects or in situations where a large number of reuses or shuttering is possible. This type of shuttering is considered most suitable for circular or curved structure. Now, when it comes to steel forms compared with timber formwork, steel forms are stronger, they are more durable, and have longer lives than, you know, pretty much timber formwork, and their reuses are more in number. Now, steel forms can be installed and dismantled with a greater ease and speed. The quality of exposed concrete surface by using steel forms is good, and such surfaces need no further treatment. Steel formwork also does not absorb moisture for concrete, so it cures them better. Steel formwork does not shrink or warp. Construction of concrete formwork. Now, when it comes to that, this normally involves the following operation, which is propping and centering, shuttering, provision of camber, cleaning and surface treatment, order and method of removing formwork, and the sequence of orders and method of removal of formwork are as follows. Shuttering formwork, the vertical faces of walls, beams, and column sides should be removed first, and they bear not load but only retain the concrete. Now, the shuttering forming soffit of slabs should be removed next. Shuttering forming soffit of beams, girders, or other heavily loaded shuttering should be removed in the end. Now, rapid hardening cement, warm weather, and light loading condition allow a little removal of formwork. The formwork should, under no circumstances, be allowed to be removed until all the concrete reaches a strength of at least twice the stresses to which the concrete might be subjected at the time of removal of formwork. All formworks, should be eased gradually and carefully in order to prevent the load being suddenly transferred to the concrete. We talked about in another video before that, pretty much compression of concrete is tested about 28 days after it's cast. But also you gotta watch out for the resistance that we talked about before. It's also very important that you check out before removal and the shuttering all the formwork. So this is it. Thank you very much for your subscribes and likes. I hope this has served you. And my name is Jesus Arroyo, and we'll see you again. Hey, where are you going? I'm not done with you yet. I forgot to tell you something very important, and it is when you should de-shutter the formworks. And when it comes to walls, columns, and vertical sides of beams, it takes a time period of 1 to 2 days, because they're not pretty much, supporting a lot of weight. When it comes to slabs, you should left, props under, but it's about 3 days. And when it's beam soffits, you also should left, should left props under, and it's about 7 days. Now, removal of props to slabs, it's also important. For a slab spanning up to 4.5 meters, it's about 7 days, and for a slab spanning over 4.5 meters is 14 days. Now, the removal of props to beams and arches spanning up to 6 meters is 14 days, and spanning over 6 meters is 21 days. So I hope this has helped you well, because it's very important that you know when to take out and de-shutter all the formwork in order for you don't have the structure doesn't collapse or anything like that. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again.